Should you see a crimson-cowled girl bearing an apple, do not run. It wouldn't help. You are already caught in her snare. So goes the tale of the sorcerer known as Red Hood.
Grimm's a little on the nose too, to be honest, but I like Grimm. I think Grimm's the coolest faction.
I fear nothing can save me now.
Hey, do a girl a favor.
Shit, she approached me in a tavern.
By nature, sorcerers favor shadows and avoid drawing undue attention. Flaming crimson garb like hers is a sight rarely seen.
You're not allowed to refuse. You know who I am, yes?
True to the legends, she was a specialist in illusion. She assured me I was already a prisoner to her handiwork.
Then you know what to expect if you don't stay on my good side.
And so I was half threatened, half dragged away from a perfectly good pint.
I like the desperation in his voice there.
Was it magical?
Okay. So, you know what? I'll just keep those. Those spells are fine for this. So these are just gnomes. I'm not going to read the lore for, like, the minor monsters, like, unless people are really interested in it. Because this game is already fairly heavy exposition in between the individual fights. So, you know, I'll skip out on it for now. Gnomes are basically rabbits that, you know, got magic powers and, you know, progress from there. Like, much like the Archfiend stuff, like, it's pretty rough, some of the stories for the minor monsters, too. The apple, synonymous with Red Hood. The apple shade is a special totem that produces powerful hallucinations. How many men had been fooled by her? Another vision as if I have not had my fill. A curse left by a one-time ally. A hallucination conjured with her right arm. Will the illusion cast by Red Hood grow even greater now? Holy shit. From within my arms, Sortiara tries to tell me something. When she does, an unreal vision flickers before my eyes. A dark phantasm of murderous intent. Alright, we've already seen this zone.
I'll drive you mad with my illusions.
This will be pretty quick. Oh yeah, and then Grimm's thing. The gnomes can go invisible. So then Grimm's thing is fate. So you use their ability and it kind of equally balances sacrificing and saving, and you get luck. Which that I'm still trying to figure out what it does. I'm not sure what the luck does. I think it has something to do with the rewards at the end of the quest, but I haven't really figured that out yet. Much like Monster Hunter, once you commit to an action, you're basically locked into it until you finish it. So it's not, you can't like break the animation of a shield stab to like roll and stuff. It's like, okay, I'm doing that, then I'm doing that until I finish. Also, if you don't actually have the thing out, it looks cool when you summon the spears. Because if you do it with the speed ability up, you know, you just do that charge forward. If you have the underground ability, you actually dive underground and come firing up, which is cool. Because I didn't counter them, it'll just be second-rate sorcerer, which is fine. I'm not using this to farm items. I do that off stream. And like I said, I might do a stream where I just focus on fighting monsters and stuff like that. So you can see it kind of randomly decides what you're gonna get, kind of thing. Whether it's a save or a sacrifice.
Was it magic or lust? Perhaps it was her silver tongue. Everyone agreed she made her way by bewitching others. Even veteran sorcerers were said to be defenseless against her illusions. More than anything, it was the fact that she became a monster that sealed her poor reputation.
Yeah, I feel like that would seal a bad reputation.
They say she drained victims' lives to fuel her own, thereby ensuring she'd live forever. A chilling story. Except the girl standing before me now seemed anything but a monster. For her to be as old as the legends and look as young as she does is monstrous enough.
True fact.
Drop those silly ideas now. You're my dog, like it or not.
She lazily rolled an apple about in her hand as she spoke. It was clear she was onto something, chasing a tip. Helping her in this search was the only way to break free of her illusory chains.
So, is it Grim you're after too?
The Order of Grimm. The mysterious cult was still new, but growing at a wildfire's pace.
Yeah, it is. I like
It's
Grim.
rumored the tavern where we'd met was a gathering place for its membership.
Well, it seems
Grim was added specifically for Delta, so I
Intelligence on
don't
the
believe it
cult
was in the base
fetches
game.
a high price from the agents of Avalon.
But it's been many, many years since I played the base game.
Perhaps the promise of that reward is what drives her current search. Here follows Grimm's tale. Once there lived a prophet, Grimm. Those who took his word for truth banded together, and a society was born. Red leaned in, eager for any word of Grimm I'd heard. The next moment, her expression changed.
Uh-oh.
A monster on the road ahead. Cold sweat trickled down my back. My body sensed its strength. Immediately, Red sprang into action. I had scarcely exhaled by the time she was gone. Vanished.
She just
I'd have
pieced
been a
out.
fool to expect any different. This was the infamous Red Hood. Using others was her speciality.
Good boy.
Alright, so now we're fighting the three little pigs. Them I know for a fact, they are Venom. Oh yeah, so the way the elemental like wheel works in this game is Venom is basically plant. So Venom destroys rock, rock defeats thunder, thunder shatters ice, ice defeats fire, and fire burns Venom. So that's kind of the wheel there. I'll do this one twice, real quick. I'll show kind of what can happen with that one power I talked about, and like just how quickly you can actually wipe things out with it. And then I'll do like a normal fight where I don't do that. Bring along fire one. And we need an ice spell. And that's the other thing is if you trigger an enemy's weakness, so for this one it's called Hellfire. So if you hit him enough with fire, that Hellfire gets triggered. If you use the element that breaks that element, essentially. So if you use ice against Hellfire, it'll explode, kind of like what we did against the one boss there. Where are my spells? Okay, we'll bring the Fire Tuft. Actually, we won't even need that. So I'll show you what happens if you power up with this fruit and just cheaply spam. And keep in mind, like I said, these spells aren't powered up for their damage. The star level at this point is just how many times you can cast it. And then the rumor effects, like I said, I'll show that quick too. So you can see what they do there. It boosts experience, but you'll reduce your score. Stuff like that. Back to monsters. So you could put that in, and then that will basically boost your chance to obtain the plus level of the Archfiend. Because those like soul fragments that you get at the end, those give you more rumors, and I believe there's something else they're tied to, but I haven't gotten to that point yet. All right, so I'll go in, I'll kill him the fast way, then we'll read his lore, and then we'll do him like a normal way without me like using this ability. Because it really does, like, you kill him really quick. Watch, I'll fuck it up, but I'll read those two when we actually go in to fight him properly without being cheap. Although I always open the fights by spamming a couple of toughs, because you can usually get 3 off before the monster fully awakens. So, summon 2 trees. We pick a fruit. We enhance the tree. We pick it again. We consume it. Use our feather. He kind of runs away, which is annoying. Alright, and then you have Hellfire up. Then you hit him with the opposite, and he's dead. So that's what I mean, like, you can wipe them out pretty quick. That was actually kind of slow for that, so that's why I don't like using it, because it kind of, I don't know, it kind of kills the fun. Even though they are 1-star quests, blah, 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 it is what it is. I don't know. I don't like using it. There comes a point where it just makes your life, you know, equal, so it doesn't make it too easy or anything, but for now, it's too easy. And as you saw there, when the cats, like, ate on him, they actually get bigger and stronger. Never tried double enhancing. I doubt you can, but who knows? This game has a lot of crazy shit, so I just try not to use that tree. I think it's a little bit too much. Plus, you kill them before you can break any curse, like all of their curse parts. So, you know, kill them in a minute. Although it did break 1 curse part, I'll give it that. I'm probably gonna do Grim for most of my stuff in the game, beyond like the stuff in the storyline that it forces you to. Shit. Back to the actual quest, and then I'm just gonna remove that. I usually just bring 2 of the eggs. I bring like 1 of the element and 1 of the opposite. Alright, so we'll read his lore now, and then we'll go fight him without using the super boost of the tree. They still go down quick. Like, this game was designed around, you know, mobility, so it's like the quests are all fairly quick. Some of them can take a while, like some of them can take like 10 minutes or so, but in the beginning levels especially, no, it's pretty quick. Alright. Theirs was a well-to-do household. At its head was the father, a skilled merchant. His 3 sons had easy childhoods, not least because their father was away on business too often to discipline them. Even as adults, the boys made no effort to work, living the high life on their father's coin. Years of wanton feasting left all 3 of them fat and round. The 3 pig brothers, that was what others whispered about them. Though the boys paid it no heed, given the choice of rich pig or deprived human, they gladly chose the former. But when sudden illness took their father, things changed for the piggy trio. In his will, the merchant left all he had to his wife. What share went to the boys would be for their mother to decide. She chose to give them nothing, not to keep her late husband's wealth for herself, nor for lack of love for her sons. Indeed, it was love that made her worry for their future. At this rate, they'd never amount to anything, drifting idly through life like kept livestock. So though it pained her dearly, she drove them from her house. She shouted after them, calling them lazy pigs. But the tears in her eyes betrayed her true emotions, yet the fool brothers could not see their mother's tough love for what it was. They cursed her for a gold digger, convinced she'd acted out of greed. Wow, they look like idiots. Unsure what else to do, the trio wandered the town square. There they saw a call for mercenaries, too naive to know how hard the sellsword's life was. They decided to take the test on a lark. In a curious move, they fashioned masks, painted to look like pigs to wear to the test. Perhaps they hoped to grow infamous as the three pig brothers, so tales of their feats might someday reach their mother's ears. Whether they hoped to spite the woman who'd called them pigs or to assure their mother they'd become fine men, only they could say. Next, they split up to procure equipment. Sheltered though they were, they knew better than to turn up empty-handed. A few days later, the trio reconvened. The eldest had woven straw into a mockery of armor. The second carried a wood plank he called a shield. To think of marching into battle, dressed in such scraps, was beyond naive. They were truly fools. Only the youngest had any sense. He'd fashioned a mace out of brick rubble. On the day of the test, the eldest donned their gear and entered the ring. Needless to say, he lay face down in the dirt in seconds. Only the mace drew praise, and the youngest brother was quick to claim credit. He was eager to curry favor with the judge, and to distance himself from his foolish siblings. He felt it was unfair he'd been cast out in the first place. His brothers were pigs, to be sure, but he was far better by comparison. His sycophantic tone and glory-hogging paid off. He alone was to be granted a second audition some days later. Despite his clear efforts to ditch his brothers, the older boys looked on with a smile. He was still at that impetuous age, they knew. They found it endearing, or so it appeared. The day of the test arrived. The eldest brother never came. He'd sacrificed his body to become a set of armor. The second didn't show either. He'd sacrificed his body to become a shield. Just hours before, they had both been visited by a strange chalice that offered them a bargain. Pay the price and any wish was theirs. Both brothers accepted, and so they were transformed. The newly minted armor and shield spoke to their brother. Use us to pass the test. If any of them were to find success, they knew it would be the youngest, and so they gave up their all to aid him. On its face, it seems a noble tale, a paragon of brotherly love, but inside, the older brothers were laughing. Let the youngest carry them, and they could live in ease. They hadn't changed at all. They'd simply found a new set of coattails on which to ride through life. Replacing their fathers, they were parasites still, and they'd found a new host in the third brother. While they were far from wise, they had reached one epiphany. If you aim to live easy, cast your pride away. A sense of entitlement or duty as elder brothers would only get in their way. As they would readily admit, the youngest was the least hopeless among them. He soon saw through his brother's intentions and heaved a deep sigh. He shook his head at their total uselessness and felt ashamed to share their same blood. As for the equipment the brothers' sacrifices bought, well, when a worthless human offers his all, it only buys so much. The result was nearly as useless as the boys had been. Even a pig has its uses, but this? The youngest brother was thoroughly fed up. That was when a strange vision came to him. A white chalice hovered there. It spoke into his mind, pay the price, and any wish is yours. He nearly fell over, but cleverest of the fool trio as he was, he quickly figured out that this was how his brothers had become as they were now. He paused and gave thought to what he truly desired. The image that came to him was unexpected. His father. Now burdened with his brothers, he finally understood all his father had done for them. The weight of providing for others, he was ashamed and wished to apologize and show his thanks. He soon hit on a way he would repay his debt by providing for his brothers now as his father had in life. To support his siblings, these two fool pigs, he would need a mercenary's income. But if he hoped to pass the test, he would need a worthy weapon. And so he made his wish. The moment after, he chided himself for stepping beyond his ken. He'd forgotten his veins flowed with the same fool's blood as his brother's. His desire for a powerful weapon saw his body transformed into a mace. It was a formidable arm, to be sure, but with his flesh now lost, there was no one left to wield it. Man cannot fight his nature, nor can pigs. As the comparatively wisest of the three brothers learned... Oh, sorry, I said that weird. Left no choice, the brothers put up a bluff. Armor, shield, and mace joined to give the appearance of a warrior. A hollow shell, an empty facade. Even now, it's said the three brothers turned objects wander the land, seeking someone strong enough to wield them. Go fight this pig without the cheaty tree. The cheating tree is cool, though. There's all kinds of really cool spell combinations in this game. When I used to play the base game online, you'd see people using, like, the craziest combinations of spells. And, you know, it was just figuring out different things that you could kind of put together, and that was such a fun part of this game. And there's a lot of spells, like, a ton of them. So, as you go forward in the game, you get some really cool stuff. Throw out a few tufts. Just want to make sure I can break his, you know, this one up. Putting up a bit of fight now that he's not just getting his ass kicked. Fucking minor monsters are so annoying, though. Are you kidding me? He keeps moving just enough. Alright, that's one. Fuck off. And I broke the fucking egg. Alright, well, at least we broke two of them. I didn't know he did a second swing. All curse parts destroyed. So that's the thing about your offerings, is when they turn red. So he's done. He's still pretty easy. Like I said, these are all one-star quests. So the thing about the offerings is, so when they flash red like that, you could still maybe use it 3 or more times before it'll break. Sometimes as soon as it turns red, the next use and it's done. So it's very much like a risk-reward system of whether or not you're actually going to get to keep using it. Because it'll say on the spell, it's like, oh, you get 5 uses of it before it breaks, but not really. It can sometimes be exactly 5 or a little bit less or a little bit more. That guy definitely ate the other minor monsters that we killed. Like, holy shit, he's huge. I don't know if you get better rewards by letting them grow bigger, though. I don't know. Never looked into that kind of thing. Right, and then we'll get, like, obviously way better rewards this time because we actually broke his curse part. So this is just a shield ability. This one, I fought him enough in the like solo quest to 3-star this. It just kind of throws out, like it's weird. It like fires mortars out in all directions, but it's kind of hard to aim with. So I tend not to use it. There we go. And this would be because the first time I fought him, I saved him. So it's like, do you want to have it so he's sacrificed instead? Because you unlock them as usable NPCs, people that you save later on.
Good boy. Now heal. We've a long way to go yet.
She reappeared the moment danger had passed, nibbling at her apple without a hint of guilt.
Fancy sharing information? We both stand to benefit.
I told her all I'd learned. Central to Grimm's revelations was the eternal recursion. He claimed the world had come and gone and been made new again, time after time.
Wouldn't doubt it with a magic
The gods
chalice.
of creation are capricious things and never satisfied for long. Druid or Romulus, these gods cared nothing for the struggles of man. The Order of Grimm rejected both of them outright. They claim neutrality is man's sole means of standing against the cruel apathy of those gods. As I finished speaking, I looked to her, or to the void where she had stood
Ran away again,
moments earlier. I cursed my naivety, for I knew she was a shameless cheat. Yet I'd blithely handed over precious intelligence for nothing. She'll feast for weeks, while my big mouth goes empty.
Sucks to suck, boy.
It took me 3 days to track her down.
You sniffed me out.
She started.
I already sold that tidbit about Grimm, by the by.
She hadn't yet realized. I imagine she's unaccustomed to being played after all. Intelligence on Grimm was only ever a secondary concern of mine.
Wait a minute. It was me you were after?
Yeah.
It was.
Shit. It was. I had gone to that tavern hunting for the infamous Red Hood. That's what I mean. If you hit the button, sometimes you get
I
fucked.
needed a way to break this illusion. Not any spell Red Hood had placed me under. But the visions from my own right arm. As an expert in illusions, perhaps she could break the curse Sortiara left me.
Don't expect too much. I'm not the legend rumors make me out to be.
I had a feeling.
A roar echoed out from somewhere. I could feel the beast was close. And soon enough, Red
Every
was
time.
gone.
Kind of sucks. Like, can she actually fight? Like,
Her
she fought the
parting
minor
words
ones.
hung in the air.
Don my cap approach any fool saying, "You're under my spell," and watch them jump a mile. Legendary illusions, more the illusions of legends in truth. Didn't you jump, though?
There was no end to them. For each fiend I slew, 2 more sprang up. Hours passed. My sense of time dulled.
Shit. I keep forgetting that you have to, like, stop on the page and go. Okay. This should be fine. I've got to stop breaking offerings, though. Not that it's a big deal, but I'd rather not break them if I can help it. Okay. We good. I believe her weakness is fire anyway. She's a weird one to fight. Oh shit, I didn't read her thing. I heard it from a sorcerer who'd been a victim of her trickery. Sit down in a certain place in the inn, I was told, and she'll be sure to approach. I must learn more of the cult of Grimm. Her illusion was a clever lie, using the story of Red Hood, but the effect may have been more powerful than any spell. There's a reason man turns to monster when someone prays to the legendary chalice. The price must be paid. Thus they say a monster is the final culmination of a life tainted by desire. I'll read her lore after the quest. This place, the lore here is like fucked up. It's really cool. I'm not great at fighting her yet. You gotta be careful, because if you hit her from the front, he will fucking reflect it back at you. I want to take out these little guys that are actually aggravating. Charge up the big spell. She's a really fast kill, though. But she's not dead. I feel like killing a fucking Arc Fiend in 57 seconds is pretty good, but... Game's like, you didn't do the cool shit. Alright, so what I'll do is I'm gonna really quick, we'll read her lore. I'll fight her again.
There was no...
She goes down really quick because it's not like a kill quest. It's like a... I guess it's like a repel, I guess I would equivalate it to. In a far-off land, a princess was born. All who saw her were drawn in by her captivating eyes. Large and round, they shone with brilliance of diamonds. The brilliance. But their beauty filled her mother with anxiety, for the queen prided herself on being the fairest in the land. Once grown, she knew this girl would be more beautiful than even she. And so a petty jealousy grew within the queen's breast each time she met her daughter's eyes. In the throes of envy, she even considered murder, but no, she couldn't. She loved her daughter as any mother would, but more than that, she had a reason far less noble. The sight of her own face reflected in those innocent eyes. She would stare at them and lose track of time. The image in her daughter's eyes was more vivid than any mirror, and few women admired themselves more than the queen. Choosing the right mirror had long been an obsession, and soon no other would do. She grew to love her daughter, not as a child, but as an object. Despite her jealousy, she could never part with her perfect mirror. As the princess aged, the queen's fears came to fruition. The girl's beauty grew each day, and with it, her mother's envy. The queen wanted her gone. God, she looks insane. Erased. But she couldn't kill her, knowing she'd never find a mirror so fine. Knowing she'd lose those hours of basking in her own reflection for a woman so vain, few things were harder to part with. Her daughter's existence marred her pride. The image in her eyes affirmed it. My nose is so itchy all the time. Caught in this dilemma, the queen heard a voice. Then a strange chalice stood before her. If you would have your wish, offer a sacrifice. She hesitated for a time, but as she regained her calm, a thought emerged. It was a thought on becoming a mother, on becoming anyone. She offered up her dear daughter, turning the girl's eye into a real mirror. With her more beautiful daughter gone, her pride was finally at ease, and only that intoxicating reflection now remained. The queen's vanity reached new heights. Claiming the princess had run away, the queen hid the mirror in her chambers. Day after day, she posed this question to her former child. Who is the fairest of them all? The girl answered as she'd been taught, mother in my eye. For years, this routine continued, until the princess came of age, or would have were she still human. Wiser now, she began to question her circumstances. Why was she not allowed outside? You see, she never realized she'd become a mirror. I want to see myself, she pled, but the queen gave no reply. With each day, the girl's doubts grew stronger until they consumed her. It was then she saw what her mother once had. If you would have your wish, the chalice began. She wished to see herself badly enough to shout, badly enough it seems to offer her remaining eye in exchange. For price paid, the apples that were to be her meal became mirrors. She peered into them and saw a monster. She now regretted her lost eye, for she could not even weep at her fate. Her heart was broken, and she swore revenge upon the queen. Animated by that grim wish, the apples began to move. They were now apple dwarves, each bearing a mirror. Vengeance came soon after. When the queen next peered into her eye, she was met with the cold, hard truth. Until then, in her love for her mother, the girl had shown the queen a younger, fairer version of herself, all to see her smile. But no longer. The princess felt no need to please her mother now. The mirror showed a face carved with wrinkles. The queen shrieked and turned away, but a ring of apple dwarves circled her, broking no escape. Brooking? I feel like it's broken. Queen's heart stopped, and so the girl had vengeance. Yet, the next moment, she felt tears well up at the mirror's edge. Even eyeless, she still found a way to weep. The loss of her mother was crushing despite her vanity. Despite knowing she'd never truly looked at her daughter, the queen had still been her mother. Even transfigured, the girl could not hate her mother. Those years of fond looks, even if the queen had seen only herself, were enough for the girl. Ever since, the Mirror Princess has shown the image of her mother, as if to fill the void left by the woman's death. Shit. Alright, we'll do one more shot. Her eye, like, reflects back magic. So I always have such a weird time, like, I guess you gotta get around behind her, but then those fucking dwarf guys are in the way. It's like the whole thing. But it's like Monster Hunter practice, you'll learn their tells, all that kind of stuff. I want to actually look. So her curse parts are sides. Some fucked up screaming. Fuck, those fucking dwarves get in the way. There we go. I guess the last one's the back of her head. I always miss with this spell. I'm like so fucking bad at aiming it. Ooh. I wonder if I can just throw up some tufts behind her. That's actually terrifying. Okay, just gonna try to recover. Oh wow, she's got range. Holy shit. There is like an obscene amount of minor monsters in this area. I think that's part of why this quest is so annoying. Fucking broke it again. I think that's the point of this quest, is there's just too many of them. Like, that's way more than there normally is. But we got 2 of the curse parts this time. That's weird. That one has, like, people riding on it. Alright, onward with the story of Grimm. There is a quest like in the solo quest where you can actually fight her all the way.
There was no end to them. For each fiend I slew, 2 more sprang up. Hours passed. My sense of time dulled as my consciousness faded.
I'd feel guilty if you died here. Waste of a good dog.
I turned and saw her standing there. She raised her apple high and spoke in a whisper. The monsters fell in a chorus of thuds, curiously now sound asleep.
The ogre at the top right looks horrifying. I don't like him. Actually, the gnome at the left is pretty bad too.
Of the shattered apple. A common sorcerer, average at best. Her words, not mine. Only when using an apple shade as the sacrifice was she able to craft a grand illusion. She also confessed the Red Hood of legend, master of illusion turned monster, was her grandmother. She told me she was the 3rd of her name. From the day she took up her predecessor's mantle, everyone shrank and kept their distance. She begged entry into Avalon, but they turned her away for being of a monster's bloodline.
You're quite odd, you know.
She watched my face as she spoke, eyes filled with curiosity. I was the first, it seemed, to try and deal with the legendary Red Hood.
Those visions there, from your right arm, they're far beyond me. But not Gran.
Had she put aside the cowl and the name, she'd have had no trouble finding acceptance. But she chose to remain the 3rd Red Hood.
You get to look pretty cool.
Why should she be the one to bend? Who were they to judge her on name and clothes alone? She'd refuse to buckle to the prejudiced stares of strangers.
Semelia. That's my real name.
If true, this is the first time she's spoken about herself. The first time she's given her name. To the masses, Red Hood was name enough.
That there is Gran. It's my first time seeing her as well.
It was a monster, no question. The original Red Hood.
Grandma's terrifying.
Semilia's grandmother. We had planned well in advance. First, we had to save old Gran. I would ask if she had the knowledge I sought, and then her fate would be left to Semelia.
So, starting to feel less of a pet and more of a partner? Spot?
She'd been condemned to a life of abuse, and these were her words. No matter.
All right. Gotta be more careful about that. Oh well. And like you have like the different physical attacks, like you have swords, axes, the arms, and that. I really like the spears. Spears have always been kind of my favorite, so that's what I generally use. But you know, you can do what you want. I don't have stone eggs though. That's the only thing. But I do have poison eggs, so we'll bring one of those along. I do have some stone tufts. Let's see, what can I bring in place of that? I wish you could actually sort by element. That would actually make life a little easier. That's stone. That spell's got a really big wind-up, though. What about... I just want to look at the rollout ability. What are those? Here we go. 180 morph attack. We'll bring that. Because we haven't really used those abilities, and they are pretty cool to see. Alright, so that I've only got as a 2-star. I can't boost it because I don't have enough. Alright. That should be good enough. One would hope that would be enough to take him down. Alright, so I'll quickly read this lore, and then we'll keep going as we have been. And like I said, like, let me know if you want me to skip, like, the lore that isn't read by the game. Like, I'm good either way. I just think it's interesting. Like, I've always liked the extra reading in games. Like, I'm the guy who will sit there and, like, read codec entries and stuff like that. If they're interesting. If it's just stupid shit, I won't. But, like, if it's actually interesting, like, back in the day in Mass Effect, I used to actually sit there and read a lot of the extra stuff. So, it's just always been something I've enjoyed. Alright, this is the tale of a swindler, cunning and infamous. The knight cut a menacing figure. The sight of his weapon conjured images of rent flesh and the sound of snapping bone. His armor was no less imposing, forged in the shape of a jet black wolf. Its keen stare transfixed any prey it fell upon. Most opponents knelt, cowering at his feet before the first blade was drawn. More often than not, the wolf knight was victorious without even fighting. That lupine armor was the result of years of careful experimentation. If perfected, he knew it would serve as a fine weapon. In truth, it was his only weapon, or the only one he knew how to use. All his skill and effort went into intimidation. In a word, he was a con man who worked the battlefield. He never had a master to teach him combat. He was orphaned before he knew his parents' faces. He'd had to find a way to survive alone, and the answer he came to was deceit. Despite his efforts, he left one battle gravely wounded. Serves him right, he thought, for heeding his opponent's taunts and fighting head-on. He fled to the mountains, escaping with his life, but soon found himself lost. As his hunger grew, he felt death's creeping approach. As he wandered, he came upon a cabin. Despite its remoteness, it was quite nicely appointed. His swindler's instincts took hold. If there was someone inside, anyone, he knew he could fool them. Within the cabin lived an old woman. Face hidden by his helm, the wolf knight demanded she bring him food. He kept his voice a low growl, icy cold with just a hint of madness. It was a tone he'd practiced for years. Put another way, it was the only tone he knew how to strike with others. After a moment spent nonplussed, the old woman hurried to prepare a meal. She was kind, strangely so. The wolf knight assumed he'd cowed her into submission. He decided to capitalize on her fear, and she is very old. She looks kind of scary. Extend his stay there. Just as he hoped, she prepared feast after feast for him. Doubt began to creep in. She was too genial to be acting on fear alone. Several days into his stay, the old woman cooked up the grandest meal yet. As the knight sat down, however, he noted she was nowhere in sight. Thinking she'd left on some errand, he cleaned the table single-handedly. Clutching his gut in contentment, he then noticed a letter. What he read in it sent a shiver up his spine. The old woman's provisions had run out, and so she'd fashioned this final meal from her own flesh. The warm, heavy weight now in his belly was his erstwhile host. He broke out in a panicked sweat and hastened to continue reading. Why show him such extreme hospitality? I feel like that's not hospitality. Was it really for fear of him? No, certainly not. She'd had a son, she explained, though they'd been parted years ago. The wolf knight was the spitting image of her boy, full grown. It was all there in her letter. She couldn't help but think of him as her son, nor bear the thought of her child going hungry. In the end, she was happy, as if she'd been reunited at last. Amid her talk of the child, she'd lost, she gave the boy's name. The knight cried out. For the name she'd written was his own. Not the alias he'd given her, but the true name he'd kept hidden. Then she was his. An orphan all his life, he'd finally met his mother and devoured her. He'd imagined his parents' faces countless times. Had they been in his life, he'd never have become the fraud he was. He pined for them, ached for them. His mind was in chaos. This was surely some nightmare. His mother lay in his belly now, being digested. He tried to vomit her up, yet no matter how many times he retched, he could not purge the guilt that clung to his gut. In the end, he slit open his belly and tore out his viscera, trying to remove his mother by hand from his entrails. A skull emerged. It spoke to him in the old woman's voice. Had you fooled, didn't I? The furnishings around him turned to ash, then the walls. The cabin crumbled. This is the tale of a swindler, cunning and infamous. The knight had been an illusion from the start. The old woman was a witch, and a cleverer crook than the knight. And small wonder, for he lacked her experience. She'd had a dozen lifetimes to practice her schemes. She lured others into consuming her, then claimed their bodies, passing from host to host forever, the immortal Red Hood. Even in this world ruled by sorcery, few are those who find unending life. She was a proud exception. Fucked up. Fucked up. This boy's actually somewhat difficult. For like the 1-star quest, he's actually like decently hard. Sibelia's behavior seemed excessive to me, almost as if she were trying to live up to her reputation. It was the first time for Simelia. Because of her grandmother, she was treated as an outcast. She's tied to family by blood, but what is in Similia's heart? Gingerbread!
We're just like partners now.
Okay, what's that here? Alright, so those trees should be the offering recoveries. I just want to make sure. Yeah, renew offering power.
Sacrifice it or save it.
The ogres are so annoying because they always leave that puddle.
Keep it up.
Where's the last one? There we go. This one. Cerberus is like actually scary looking. Oh yeah, I forgot his little runarounds actually hurt you. Terrifying when the witch takes over. Shit.
Keep it together.
Yeah. Hot stone was the weakness, but maybe I was wrong.
save it.
That's the counter I was talking about, by the way. You can knock them back. Saves. Try to get this. No. Gonna pin me down until I get out of there. Shit. Gotta watch out for that. I don't know why I stood still there. That was a bad idea. That's definitely gonna fucking interrupt me, but... still a weak point. I'll go back for that in a sec. Yeah, that's why you gotta be careful, because the other ones fucking eat them and then you lose out. So it's hard to like leave an offering for your a victim for yourself, because you might end up losing it anyway. Whoa, that did a lot of fucking damage. So she gave up half of her health to bring me back. You know what I think I did? I usually mix up Red Riding Hood with a different monster. Get some more before she fucking wipes me out. Thought I left another cat here. Alright, well that's the move that she got me with last time, so I will avoid that.
Look, it's working.
The witch is taking over. Oh, it's a wind spell. Probably disappear, but yeah. Quickly, quickly. Shit. Looks like it's just the head left. Keeps turning around.
Keep it together.
No, the spear's still alive too. Shit. Shit, I was on the wrong page. Fucking go for it. I'm gonna risk it. See if I can. Ah, of course he turned. Alright, that's the end of that egg. Come on. Turn around, you idiot. Fuck, it hit his side. Disappear. Nope, we got her. So he's like the first, like, I would say actually somewhat challenging monster. The rest of them you can take down pretty quickly. Him, you actually have to, like, do something specific. I definitely took the wrong element, though. If I'm... Actually, I don't think it has an elemental weakness. Maybe that was it. I always mix them up with Cerberus, because they kind of look the same in their portrait. Yeah, I'd say that. 12 minutes. Ooh. Magic of Red Riding Hood forms a shockwave that strikes foes. That's cool. I've gotten the spear that he uses a lot. But I haven't actually gotten this one before. That's cool. Oh, it's a stone fist. have to pay for all that shit I broke.
No matter the question asked, the old woman's mumblings were unintelligible. Such is the price of immortality, any shred of normality gone. I would get no information from her.
Sucks.
The rest was in Semelia's hands. That was the deal. She struggled clearly, to save or to sacrifice. Blood or no, the girl couldn't hide her muddled feelings for the crone. It was because she was blood that the woman had caused her such woe. I couldn't help but speak up.
Well, you never knew her. I don't know.
You waver. Stay your hand. Semelia hadn't even been allowed to take Avalon's ordeal, so she had no way of knowing. Sacrificing one with whom you share a strong bond bears a price. The scars left upon the soul are deeper than she could know.
That's the thing about Avalon. I feel like their like test like just fucks people up. Well, like look at the main character. Or Libram. Like, they're all messed up.
You don't know what I...
She drew a deep breath, then exhaled. Her wry smile returned.
But no matter. You're right. Thank you.
An awkward line from her, spoken through a hesitant smile. It was a glimpse of Semelia the girl, not Red Hood the legend.
Well, well. No one's ever told the terrible Red Hood what to do before.
She spun the apple as she walked away, glancing back at me.
I'll repay this kindness. You have my word, as a member of Grimm.
I really should have known.
You really should have, man. Like, come on.
For I knew the tavern where we met was a favored haunt for their numbers.
Consider this my thanks.
A plume of white smoke rose from behind her. It engulfed the area in an instant. My mind felt bathed in white. I collapsed into the sensation. A strange voice echoed from nowhere in particular. For a suitable price, your wish will be granted. A white vessel.
Goddamn chalice.
In the air before me, a relic to grant one's any desire. And the source of countless monsters consumed by them. The sacred chalice. The woman in your arm. Is she to be your wish? It spoke as if it knew all my heart's desires. An image flashed before my eyes. Her face, as I'd last seen it. If you would see her again, make your sacrifice. Offer up the Red Girl and... My anger boiled over. I bellowed that...
Yep. Every time I get caught by that. Alright, so... I'm just gonna take my good boy spells. Let's see here. That spear... take a, I'll take the one I have the most charge with. Actually, I'll take the thunder one. A lot of things are randomly damaged by thunder in this game. All right. White smoke and clear skies, a red-garbed Semelia gazes this way. If she is sacrificed, will I see Sortiara again? Is the debt now settled? There was resignation in Semelia's eyes. I don't mind if it is your wish.
Will sacrificing me make your wish come true? I thought I'd finally made a friend. I had always put on a brave face. They hated me just for my name and how I dressed and looked.
The other sorcerers, it just seems to be just don't let them do anything.
People hated me all the more for acting bold. You befriended me, even though I'm the Red Hood. Is this what happens when you make friends?
Onion. I don't remember what you get from her quest, though. Let's see. Unleash a potent curse that slowly but surely tracks down the enemy. That's cool.
My anger boiled over. I bellowed that her joke was in poor taste.
Oops. Then you knew.
Yeah, I fucking knew.
Yes, I knew. The fractured apple at her feet betrayed her illusion. An apple shade, to be exact.
I'm sorry. She really meant a lot to you, didn't she?
She seemed genuinely contrite.
Please don't be cross. I had to test you.
Grimm asks one thing of the new. The fortitude to rely on no god.
You passed. You resisted the illusion. You're perfect for Grimm.
I suppose I should have been flattered, but I declined. I have no interest in Grimm's words, nor any prophecy of eternal recursion. Moreover, she'd made a mistake. Had it been the true chalice, I'm not sure I could have denied it.
Yeah.
The promise of seeing her again may prove too tempting.
Is a dead woman really so dear to you still?
I raised my right arm in response. She isn't dead. Not to me. She speaks to me still, from within my arm. And I let her words guide me, spurring me onward. My burden, my karma. The third Red Hood wore a pout on her lips.
Really? It's hardly fair someone should be immune to the Red Hood's wiles.
Sorry, bro. He loves
Her cowl
Sordiara.
traced a bright red arc as she turned to leave.
I suppose that means I need practice. Next time, though, just you wait.
She swore to avenge her pride one day, a broad grin on her face.
All right. So now, so at that point, that would unlock Alice's Eternal Mage, pacts, some of the other abilities and stuff like that that you can do, which I'll show real quick, because I'm running a little short on time. But, so you can choose your faction. I like Grimm. Holy shit. So I'm going to stick Grimm because it is quite expensive to switch out. So that's what I'm going to be. I like it because it's like a nice balanced play style. but you can switch it at any time. You just have to pay some lacrima. And that you do get as you play the game. It kind of builds up. Then you can wipe his beautiful eye. Oh. There we go. I got a lot of it back anyway. But you can also now go in here. You can rewrite your levels, which is how I reduced my levels back down to where I was from the last stream. Essences are just showing, you know, the different life essences that you've gathered so far. We don't have this yet. And then the sigils. I tend to use a lot of flame-based magic, and I don't really have other options yet. So that's what I use there. And then I always use spears, so I have the spear magic, and I like the evasion magic, so I have it so it lasts longer. Then a bit of extra defense, because I turtle up, I guess. But anyway, what